Praise the Lord, everyone. We're so grateful to be here tonight. Thank God for this beautiful weather. And thank God for y'all beautiful faces. It's good to look in saints' faces. It is, because this is really a lonely trip. Now, I know. But you know something? You're more lonely because everybody don't go your way. When you was in the world, looked like everybody was doing your thing. You go to the club, they doing your thing. Go down on the corner, they doing your thing. In the grocery store, the music is doing your thing. But when you get saved, looks like you kind of alienated, which is good because God tells us to come out from among them and be separated, says the Lord. So coming out from among people and being separated is going to be some times of loneliness, because everybody's not going to think the way you think and act the way you act, right? But we're grateful. We certainly thank God for all of you, and you're trying to make it to heaven, and heaven is our goal. How about yours? We'll talk to you today about 35, 40 minutes, maybe 50, 60, 70, 80. But we're going to talk to you from the Word of God. If you don't mind, somebody get me, which would be Dr. Hill, 1 Corinthians chapter 14 and James chapter 3. We're just going to do a little discussion tonight concerning confusion. Strange subject. Confusion. You've seen some confusion when somebody hollers, somebody's shooting, and boy, folk are running east, west, and south. They ain't asking where they at. They just start running. I seen some people act out some stuff. They just run up on that crowd and start running, and the people, what's going on? They start backing up, and they all start running. Just confusion. Confusion is easy to get into. Even in churches, there's confusion. But let's talk about confusion tonight. Chapter 14, probably verse 33. Would you read for me?
For God is not the author of confusion.
Now we know if there is confusion, God didn't do it. Author means the beginning of it, the starter of it, the person that put it in motion. But God is not the author of confusion. That's not the way God operates. He put the sun to do his job, the moon to do his job, stars to do his job. Everybody has to do their job in God's kingdom. It's not chaotic. There's no confusion in God's kingdom. He has a perfect kingdom. Even when he created this world, it was created perfect with harmony and peace. Confusion brings a lot of things. In James, well, let's finish that scripture for you. God is not the author of confusion, read.
But of peace.
But of peace.
As in all churches
As
of
in
the saints.
all churches. So churches should not have confusion going on in the churches, because God is not the author of confusion. Go to James chapter number 3. Verse 16.
For where envy.
Hold on. Everybody got it? Because I still see people flipping. Everybody got it? All right. Read.
For where envying and strife is.
Listen to this. For where envy is and strife is what?
There is confusion.
There's confusion
and every evil work.
And every evil work. This is why God is not the author of confusion. This is why God did not cause chaotic conditions for his people or for this world. In the 19th chapter of Psalms, let's start at verse number 1, please. Psalms 19 and 1.
The heavens declare the glory of God.
Listen, when he put the heavens out there, that consists of your stars, your moon, the sun, and all these other things, he says what?
Declare the glory of God.
Declare the glory of God. Read.
And the firmament
Yes.
showeth his handiwork.
Handiwork. So God did it right. He didn't make no mistakes. He didn't have no confusion. The sun don't run into the moon, and the moon don't run into the earth, and every orbit, every planet has its right route, and it runs just like clockwork, the way God has set it to run. Ever since you've been in the world, the sun been coming up in the what? Where the sun come up at? Where? In the east, and set in the, and ever since you've been in this world, that's the way it's been. Because God has set things in motion to be perfect, to run right, to do right. Rivers always run into larger bodies of water. Always. It's always going down into bodies of water. Everything about God is perfect. The Bible said his law is perfect. God made his law perfect because we serve a perfect God. So confusion, if he's not the author of it, well, who is the author of confusion? Would you like to find out? Well, we're going to find out tonight. Who is the author of confusion? And another thing, I got a question to ask while I'm talking. When did Lucifer become the devil? And when did the devil become Satan? Well, let's talk about that tonight because we want to find out where confusion come from. Because if it didn't come from God, it got to come from somewhere. Because everything that God made was perfect. Everything was running like it's supposed to. Even Adam and Eve were in perfect harmony. There was no confusion. They didn't have to run and make leaves to cover themselves. It was just perfect confusion. It was just a perfect world. When God put it together, he didn't cause confusion. Okay, let's go to Ezekiel right quick. Because you know where sin originated at, don't you? In heaven. It don't seem like it should be like that, but it did. It originated in heaven. Everybody thinks it started in the Garden of Gethsemane. Not Gethsemane, but in the Garden of Eden. But I don't think so. In the 14th, now let's go to Ezekiel 28. Ezekiel 28. This prophet, God has given him a vision of this anointed cherub. Look at verse 13, I think.
Thou hast been in Eden, the garden of God.
Yeah, here, this is talking about the devil himself. Well, let's don't call him the devil yet. Let's just call him Lucifer, because that's the name that he was given. This anointed cherub walked in the garden of what? Come on.
Eden.
Of Eden. Read.
Every precious stone
Every precious stone
was that covering.
was his covering. Read.
The sardius,
Come on.
topaz,
Come on.
the diamond,
Read.
the beryl, the onyx, the jasper,
Yes.
the sapphire,
Yes.
the emerald, and the carbuncle, and gold and workmanship of thy tabrets and of thy pipes were prepared in thee in the day that thou was created.
So Satan had pipes in him in the day that he was created. Not Satan, but say Lucifer. Lucifer was a perfect angel, just like all the rest of them. Gabriel, Michael, all almost perfect angels. And he worshiped God in that garden, that beautiful garden that God had set up in heaven. Because, you know, all this is a replica. Heaven actually is what it really is like. Everything on earth is almost a replica of what's going on in heaven. And you got to understand something. If God said he's not the author of confusion, who is the author of confusion? Finish reading for me, Doc.
Thou art the anointed cherub.
You are anointed. Listen, Lucifer was an anointed archangel. And that's saying a lot. An anointed archangel who worshiped God like all the other created creatures. Read.
The anointed cherub that covered, I have set thee so. Thou was upon the holy mountain of God.
In other words, he was just where God was. He was on the holy mountain of God. He walked around, and he was like all the angels, but he had status, and he had position, and he was able to walk around and walk in the garden and be with all the rest of the angels, the sons of God. Read.
And has walked up and down in the midst of the stones of fire.
Yes, that means he had the light of God. Read.
Thou was perfect in thy ways.
He was perfect. That tells you that he was perfect in his ways.
From the day that thou was created.
From the day God created Lucifer, he was perfect. He worshiped God. He adored God. But something happened. Read.
Till iniquity was found
Until iniquity was found where?
in thee.
In thee. What happened to him? What caused him to go away from God and desire to do other things? Iniquity. Read for me, please.
By the multitude of thy merchandise. They have
Merchandise meaning he was one that exploited stuff. He was able to convince people or angels to do things. Read.
They have filled the midst of thee with violence, and thou hast sinned. Therefore I will cast thee as profane out of the mountain of God.
Yes.
And I will destroy thee, O
When he says
covering
mountain
cherub.
of God, that's out of heaven. It's amazing that you can make a creature so perfect, so beautiful, with pipes that made music, who could strut around all the other angels and pay obeisance to God. He's perfect. He was sound. What did he do? Read for me. Keep on reading.
And I will destroy thee, O covering cherub, from the midst of the stones of fire. Thine heart was lifted up because of thy beauty.
See, his heart was lifted up because of his beauty. Because he had all these stones. And he thought that he was beautiful, more beautiful than any angel up there. That's what he thought. And he got beside himself. What was the sin what did he do? He got lifted up, right? What do we say when somebody got pride? They halted or lifted up in themselves. Because that's what pride does. It makes you not see yourself, other people, but you see yourself better than other people. So he got lifted up. Read on for me, please.
Thou hast corrupted thy wisdom.
See? Anytime you get pride in you, you mess up your mind. Listen to me good. Anytime you get lifted up in yourself, the wisdom that God has given to you, you're losing it. Read.
Thou hast corrupted thy wisdom by reason of thy brightness. I will cast thee to the ground. I will lay thee before kings, that they may behold thee.
That's what he did. But what did he do in heaven to cause him to get so uplifted? And when he got uplifted, he thought he was somebody. That's why you can't let pride overtake you. You really can't get the big head when you got authority. You can't get the big head when you over something. Even if you're foreman on a job, you shouldn't get the big head. You should be a person of humility, a person of understanding, a person of wisdom that knows how to handle yourself. But look what happened to him. Look what happened to him. Now, what did he do? I'll tell you what he did. Isaiah can help us. Go to Isaiah 14. This is what he did. He got lifted up in himself. And he got to the point that he thought, see, that's it, he thought. That's what happens for a whole lot of people that backslide. They think, and when they get out there, it's altogether different when they left it. I think Matthew says 7 more demons attacks an individual. In other words, they do things that they would have never done. Isaiah chapter 14, start at verse 13.
For thou hast said in thy heart.
Verse 13, 14, 13.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't want 13, 4. I want 12.
How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer?
How art thou falling from heaven, O Lucifer? That was his name. That was his God-given name. Lucifer. Not the devil. He was Lucifer. He was in heaven. He was perfect. But he got lifted up. He got beside himself. Like the old folks say, you smell yourself. See, that's what you tell your daughter and your son. Wait a minute now, son, you smell yourself. In other words, you're getting filled up with pride. You think you're something when you really is not nothing. And it's no cause for any saint to get the big head.
True.
That's my constant prayer since I've been saved. Lord, don't let me get too big up here that I can't feel a need for thee. Because I need God all the time.
Yes.
I can't make it by myself. Now, you might can, but I can't. But I need God. Every minute, every second, every hour, I need his presence. I need him sometime in my life. Let me know you still there. So I'm not going to go like some of y'all go for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, months and months and months and months, and don't feel God. That'll scare me. I heard one of my district elders say before he left this world, was quite a while ago. He said, I asked God, let me feel you one more time. And he said he went one place, he couldn't find him. He went another place, just going, seeking God. I got to feel you one more time. When he left the hospital, he said he's just going to go up to Gary. And when he's in Gary at a hotel, God came in the room and shook his bed and told him that I love you. He said he spoke in tongues. He don't know how long. He said, God, let me know I'm with you. And you got to get to the point. You can't have dry spells because dry spells will lead to nothing. Am I talking to anybody?
Yes.
Don't go without feeling God. And I don't mean something that shakes you. You need to speak in tongues. You need to be edified. That's how you get edified, by tongues.
Yes.
That's in your Bible. In the 14th chapter of 1 Corinthians, you can find that. Tongues is edifying. And you can't keep going on thinking, I think I'm saved. When you get to saying, I think I'm saved, you better check yourself. Because this is a no-so way. I know I'm saved. And you know what? I'm going to heaven. I'm not going to be in this thing wasting time. Lucifer got beside himself. Now, if God's not the author, we're going to find out who's the author of confusion. Finish reading for me, Doc.
O Lucifer, son of the morning.
Son of the morning. Read.
How art thou cut down to the ground?
Yes.
Which did weaken the nation.
That did weaken the nations.
For thou.
Because he has weakened the nations. You know that. Nations are more wicked now than they ever was. It's so much confusion in nations today. Think about it. God didn't do it. Because God said, I am not the author of confusion. You will know when I get involved. But he's weakened the nations. Read.
For thou hast said in thy heart.
You said this in your heart. You got lifted up. Ezekiel said he got lifted up in himself. Other words, old folks said, he smelled himself. He thinks because he's seen these angels. Now, first of all, he thought he was better and prettier than anybody else. Mm-hmm. Don't let beauty fool you. The Temptations always said beauty is only skin deep. Yeah. Which is true. It's true. Beauty is only skin deep. What's beautiful, as I think is in the book of Peter, he said, is the inward man. Without price. You can be just as beautiful inside and homely on the outside. But your insides will make you feel good about yourself, and people will feel good about you. Talk to me here. Mm-hmm. Notice what he says here, read.
For thou hast said in thy heart.
He done said in your heart.
I will ascend into heaven.
I will ascend. Here's the sin that got him lifted up. Listen to him.
I will ascend in heaven.
Read.
I will exalt my throne above the stars of God.
Above what?
Above the stars of God.
Well, y'all know what the stars of God is, don't you? Not these things that twinkle at night. Those are angels. Those are angels. Stars of God are the angels. We'll prove that a little later. You'll see it a little later. But you got to understand something. When you allow pride to get in your heart, when you get lifted up within yourself, you lose reasoning. Now, here is a created being that walked among the other stars, like around God and on the mountain of God, and had the nerve to get lifted up. Isn't that a shame? Had it made, as the old folks say, in the shade. He had it made. But he thought he was better than anything else. When you think that you're better than somebody, you're in trouble. Because you're not better than nobody else. I don't care who you are. Listen to what he says. I'm going to do what?
I will exalt my throne above the stars of God.
Come on.
I will sit upon also the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north.
In the sides of the north, read.
I will ascend above the heights of the clouds.
Yes.
I will be like the Most
I
High.
will be like the Most High. He wanted to be like God. Do you not know it's some judges that think they God? Do you not know that? There are some people sit on a wooden stool, a wooden chair, with a black robe on, who think they're God. That Supreme Court think they're God too. But too much wisdom will make them mad. Instead of using a God-given wisdom with God-given things, they go against God's rules. Are y'all with me here? Who caused all this? Notice, let's keep reading. We'll find it in a minute. Read.
Yet thou should be brought down to hell.
See, boy, I'm telling you. He said, I'm going to bring you down to hell.
To the sides of the pit.
Yes.
They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee.
Come on.
Saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms,
Yeah.
that made the world as a wilderness?
He has messed up this world of people. Did you not know Satan is the God of this world? That's in your Bible. Get that right quick. Hold your head because I'm not going to leave. Get that 1 Corinthians 4:4 or 2 Corinthians 4:4. One of the two. I believe it's 2 Corinthians 4:4.
In whom the God of this world.
Listen to what it says. In whom the God of this world
has blinded the minds of
has
them
blinded the minds of the people
which believe not.
which believe not. That causes what? Confusion. You talk to people, they don't know who Jesus is. You talk to people, they'll tell you it's 2 gods, 3 gods. They'll tell you that there is no God because they're confused. Who causes confusion? He weakened the nations. It's Satan that causes confusion. God is not the author of confusion. When confusion is there, give me James 3:16. What happens when confusion sets in?
For where envying and strife is, there is confusion.
There's confusion.
And every evil
And
work.
wait a minute. And every evil what?
Work.
So Satan has confused the mind of the people. Nobody has the mind of God until they get saved. That means every other mind is confused. That's why you go to no doctor for your marriage. I call them doctors, psychologists, to straighten out your marriage. God is the author of marriage.
Yes.
So it can be straightened out through his word. Why would you go pay $25 and $30 an hour? $100 an hour. A friend of mine said he pastored the church. He's dead now, Elder Williams, our friend Wooden. He told us in the barbershop, he said, first session's free. Pass first session, $25. For him to sit in there with you. Man, I make a lot of money. But that's not God's way. Satan is the author of confusion and every evil work when there is confusion. God's not the author. Satan's the author. What happened? He got kicked out of heaven. He went down to the earth and he weakens the earth. In other words, he weakened the minds of the people. And you know what he tried to do before he left? He tried to fight. He tried to fight God. This is like Cain got an attitude with God. He just killed his brother, and God asked him, "Where's your brother at?" He said, "I don't know. I ain't my brother's keeper." Now he gonna talk to God. He had an attitude. That's why God sent him into the land of Nod. He wandered all his life. That's what Nod means, wandering. You must understand something. When you get lifted up, it's not God. When you get pride in your heart, it's not God. Because pride carries penalties and confusion. Notice this. In the 12th chapter of Revelation, before he got kicked out, he had a nerve to want to box with God and didn't realize his arms was just too short. He gonna fight God. And you know what God did? I don't have to fight you. I ain't got to do that. I got angels to whoop you. I don't have to raise my hands to you. In the 12th chapter of Revelation, are you with me tonight?
Mm-hmm.
Listen to this. Read for me. Verse 1.
And there appeared a great wonder in heaven.
Something happened in heaven.
A woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth, and pain to be delivered.
Now, we're not going to go and explain all that about the woman. I'll just make it real plain for you. It's Israel. And I'll just leave it right there. And we'll explain that somewhere down the time later. All right, read.
And there appeared another wonder in heaven.
Mm-hmm.
Behold, a great red dragon.
Now, here he's called something else. He's not, you notice he's not using the word Lucifer no more. He's a red dragon. Read.
Having 7 heads and 10 horns.
Read.
And 7 crowns upon his head.
Read.
And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven.
Let me tell you something. How can you win people over against a good God? How do people win people over that's evil and confused in their mind? How do people go about winning people over? What do they do? Think about what I'm saying. What do people do when they're messed up in their heart and mind? What do they do with people to try to win them on their side?
Flattery.
What?
Flattery.
Okay, flattery is good, yes. Mm-hmm. 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 But what does they do when they trying to win people over? What'd you say? Lie. They lie. When a person is wrong and know they're wrong and they don't want to leave by themselves, they try to find a weak link in the church. Here I go back to the church again. And start telling lies to some weak-kneed person to get them on their side. Satan told lies. He told a group of angels, I'm going to ascend above the Most High. If you notice, it says that his tail Read that again where it says
verse 4.
verse 4.
And his tail drew the
And
third
his
part.
tail drew what?
The third part of the stars of heaven.
Now, you would think because he's a red dragon, you would think that in your mind, your human mind, you would think he's a red dragon, so dragons got tails. And what happened is he took his tail and he snatched them out of heaven. No. Lies pull people out. They get people in trouble. They confuse people. Because God is not the author of confusion. It's Satan is the author of confusion. Now, I want you to go to Isaiah chapter 9 for me. And verse 6, I believe it is. Hold on, let me get it. 9 and 6, I think. Read that for me. No, that's not what I want. Isaiah 9. Yeah, I do know. I want 9. Hang on. Somebody said, Bishop don't know where he's going. Yes, I do too. Go to 15.
The ancient and honorable.
The ancient and honorable.
He is the head.
He is the head.
And the prophet that teaches lies.
Hold it right there. And the prophet that teaches lies.
He is the tail.
He's the tail. What brought those angels out is lies. Did you hear what I said? You could only bring a person or mess a person up if you tell them a lie. Especially if a person is weak. You see, the prophet, listen to what it says. Read the latter part.
And the prophet that teaches lies.
Lies, he is what?
The tail.
The tail. What brought them out is the lies of Satan. That's what pulled a third of the angels out, is the lies of Satan. Until we realize and make sure you sit down. Hey, when somebody's whispering in your ear, you be careful. If somebody got to take you to a corner by yourself all the time, you be careful. Satan whispered lies into the minds of those angels that was there. Those angels are stars. Stars are angels. Read what it says.
For the leaders of this people caused them the
No, I'm back in Revelation now. I'm sorry. I should have told you to go back over there. Are y'all with me tonight?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's read. Go on back over to 12 and 4.
And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven.
Come on, stars of heaven or angels. Read.
And did cast them to the earth.
Mm-hmm.
And the dragon stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered.
Go ahead, read.
For to devour her child as soon as it was born.
Go ahead.
And she brought forth a man-child who was to rule all nations.
They don't think this is Jesus, this man-child, that this woman that married. This is how carnal-minded people think. They think this woman in the wilderness is Mary, and they think that the child that was born is Mary. Let's use some common sense. This revelation is wrote for then, for the past, middle, and the future. This is future. Mm-hmm. This is a time that Israel is on the run from Satan. And the child is the 144,000 preachers. And we'll go explain that later. But take my word for it. Read on. Go back over and read for me.
And she brought forth a man child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron.
Come on.
And her child was caught up unto God and to his throne.
Come on.
And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she has a place prepared of God.
This is Israel. Read.
And they should feed her there 1,260 days.
Read on.
And there was a war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon.
Now, let's stop. Verse 7. He said, Lucifer said he was going to take his throne above the Most High. But he got put out of heaven. But did God put him out of heaven? Did God put him out of heaven? Okay, read.
And there was a war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon.
Who?
Against the dragon.
Who fought against the dragon?
Michael and his angels.
Okay, read.
And the dragon fought and his angels and prevailed not.
Didn't win. Read.
Neither was their place found any more in heaven.
When Michael got through with him and his angels, he got put out of heaven. Now, all God had to do was speak and it would be done. But he had to make sure Satan understood, its people believe in me. Its angels still believe in me. So the angels that still believe in God put him out. But a third was lost. And a third, you would think those third that was out, that God would allow them to run around with Satan and attack everybody. No. Go to Jude for me. We're going to come back. How many chapters in Jude? Is that all? Okay, it'll be verse 6 then.
And the angels which kept not their first estate,
Go ahead.
but left their own habitation,
Yep.
he has reserved in everlasting chains under darkness unto the judgment of the great day.
Those angels was put in chains. Satan was the only one he allowed because he threw him out to the nations and eat dust. Are y'all with me now? You got to understand something. Satan is causing havoc in all the nations of the world. He's causing trouble in the Middle East. He's causing trouble in the North. He's causing trouble in America. He's causing trouble everywhere because people listen to lies. You realize it's easy to tell a lie because you want to make yourself look good when you tell it. What is that? Confusion, pride. You lift it up. You better believe me, honey. I know. Better believe me, brother. I know. Yes. No, go ahead. You got a question? As long as it's a little bit to lesson, we good. Oh, okay. We'll get to that. We'll answer that. Go to Romans chapter 6 and verse 16 for me. Satan controlled a lot of people and things. And you know what? He'll control you and you and you and you.
Know you not that to whom ye yield yourselves servants to obey, his servants ye are to whom ye obey.
Now, people begin to serve Satan and be used of the devil. Are y'all with me now? You got to realize that people's spirits, they can be used of the devil. People carry different spirits. I didn't say angels. You know, those was angels. But evil spirits, evidently they was already in the world in the first place. Satan took control of every evil spirit. And when he controlled them, he used them. All right. What caused all the people to mess up in Genesis? Their minds. Yes. The lie and evil spirits. Them spirits, there's a lot of evil spirits in the world in the first place. But those that came from heaven were angels. They wasn't evil spirits. They were angels that lost their first estate. He chained them up. But there was a lot of evil spirits in this world. Satan took control. He controls evil spirits. If you notice, he's the God of this world. And he'll control any and everybody, whether it's a spirit or whether it's a person, if that person allow him to control him. That was a good question. Thank you for that. We got to understand something. What kind of spirit was in, I'm trying to think of his name, Nimrod. Think about it. What kind of spirit was in Nimrod? An evil spirit. What kind of spirits that God sent out to cause them to speak a lie, the prophets to speak a lie? Evil spirits. But they wasn't fallen angels. There were spirits in this earth. Satan sinned. He took control. And believe me, he'll take control of everybody. If you allow him to use you, you become a child of Satan. Watch this. Give me the 8th chapter of the book of John. Verse 44.
Ye are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him.
What did Jesus call Satan? Your father. He called him the father. You are of your what?
Father the devil.
Father the devil. Whenever Satan takes control of any individual, he becomes their father, even though God is the father of every spirit. He created every spirit. But when a spirit obeys Satan's command, you become his servant. Sin causes you to be a servant. Are you with me? Or have I lost you? Are y'all with me? You got to understand something. From the beginning, sin was not in the world. Satan fell to the earth, and Satan caused Adam to fall. Then sin entered the world, right? Are y'all with me? Now give me Romans chapter 5. Verse 12, read.
Wherefore, as by one man sin entered into the world, and death by sin.
You know what made me think something? You remember God created Adam and Eve, right? But he created Adam first, right? Mm-hmm. And then he created Eve, right? But I wonder why he didn't put jewelry on them. I got a point to bring out. Why didn't he put, now, since they say it's okay to wear jewelry, it's okay to wear that, it's okay to wear this, but God made a man and made a woman, and they were completely naked. Are y'all with me here? Mm-hmm. Who causes people to want to put something on? Who had their hand up? Thought I seen it. Yeah. The world and sin. Because sin caused him to put a leaf on. Did you not know that? Sin causes people to do things they normally wouldn't do. When Adam was made, Adam was naked. Eve was naked. But when he, don't think God can't make jewelry and put them on you. You know what he did? He made Lucifer. He put ornaments all over Lucifer. If God had wanted them to wear the jewelry, he'd have put jewelry on Adam and Eve. Okay, all right, that's all right. We always want to do something because sin causes us to reach out to deck ourselves for what? The Bible said that he made man and it was good. Now he made Lucifer, but he decked him out with ornaments. But he didn't do no man like that. I just wonder why people want to wear ornaments. You wasn't made to wear ornaments. You wasn't made to put holes in your flesh and cuttings in your flesh. You wasn't made to do that. Sin causes people to get tattoos. Brother, we're trying to add this on. Tickle me. You did that before you got saved, son. I don't hold it against you, and I know God don't either. But Leviticus chapter 19 and verse number 28 tells you don't put no holes or no cuttings on your flesh. But sin causes confusion. What would make a woman, beautiful woman, built strong, look good, want to be a man? Confusion.
True.
Satan is the author of confusion. Okay. You know and I know that a little child don't know what he want to be. But Satan is an author of confusion. So he confused the parents. And where confusion is, there's envy, there's strife, and every sin. You know what? Sin will cause a man to kill himself. Look what happened to, look what happened to, let me tell you something. Judas hung himself. The people didn't hang him. But if you look at Luke 22 and verse number 1 and 2, look at that for me right quick. You'll see what happened to Judas. And it'll happen to you, and myself if I allow the devil to get me. Listen to 22 and 1. What's it say?
Luke 22 and 1.
Yeah.
Now the feast of unleavened bread drew nigh,
Yeah.
which is called the Passover.
Yeah.
And the chief priests and scribes sought how they might kill him, for they feared the people.
Read.
Then entered Satan.
Wait now. Then what?
Entered
Who?
Satan.
Now he's called Satan because he wasn't Satan at first. He wasn't even the devil at first. He was Lucifer at first. Are you with me now? Are you with me now? Look what Lucifer did, or the devil, or Satan, got in Judas Iscariot. And if you go over in the book of Matthew, he hung himself. And also in Acts, you find out he hung himself. If you allow Satan to get in you, young man, young woman, Satan to have you doing everything.
That's right.
Have you barking like a dog? Have you thinking you a bird or an animal or something? Who was that got so boastful and high, lifted up in pride till he walked out into his kingdom and he said to himself, look what I built? Mm-hmm. And from that day he turned into a beast. God gave him a beastly mind. Satan will cause you to kill yourself. He is not a good master. He's a taskmaster. He's an evil worker. And he will confuse your mind. That's why I tell young people, get saved. Don't stay out there and let the devil mess with your mind.
True, Bishop.
Evil spirits are everywhere. Evil spirits are everywhere. And I'll say this. Those that are chained in Agabus, they came out of the bottomless pit at the end of Satan's reign. The bottomless pit brought them up because they were going to be judged by God anyway. Mm-hmm. People, please understand me. You don't want Satan to get a hold of you. That's why people that's raised up in church, Satan loves to get a hold of kids and children that are raised in the church. Because he wants them to be a trophy for him. And say they would have known the truth, but I got them. I'm messing up their mind, and I'm going to get them in the end. And parents, if you do not allow God to help you with your children, you'll kill your own children.
Believe it, Bishop.
And don't even know you're killing them. You'll send them to hell, and you don't even know it because you are not letting God work with your mind. You're confused. You got to think about your children. You save and sanctify, but you let your children go the ways. You don't do that. God gave those children for you to be a good steward over. Right. And if you fail to be a good steward over those children, you're going to be lost. Y'all don't believe me. But I'm telling you the truth. whoever you lend your members to. Let's go back to Romans 6 and 16. This is scripture. This is scripture here.
Know ye not
No, now listen to this. Listen good. Know ye not.
that to whom ye yield
To
yourselves
whom ye yield yourselves
servants to obey,
servants to obey,
his servant ye
his
are,
servant, what?
ye are,
Ye are
to whom ye obey.
to whom you obey. You can obey God unto righteousness, but you obey Satan to damnation. And if you don't be a good steward over God's heritage, see, children are a heritage of God. See, just because he allowed you to have them, don't act like they're yours. I knew my children wasn't mine. I knew they wasn't. But what I mean by that is this. I knew they were God's children. He allowed me to have. But he wanted me to be a better steward over my children. You have to tell your children the truth. Don't get mad at me because I let them know it ain't no Santa Claus. Don't get mad at me because I let them know ain't no such thing as Easter. Running around hunting eggs. It's my job as a leader is to tell the truth.
Right.
It's my job. I'm not trying, like I used to tell my children, I am not your buddy. I am not your friend. I am your parent. And by me being your parent, I'm going to tell you what's right. My mother used to tell me, she said, boy, if you don't stop being in the alleys kicking ball, she called it kicking ball. Didn't know I was playing basketball. Said, you're going to kick your way to hell. My mother was tough. And boy, after she got saved, Lord have mercy. But you know what, I look back and I think about it? When she used to tell me you shouldn't run with them. Brother Belly, when I look back when my mother told me not to run with such and such and such, and I ran with them, I said, you don't understand, Mama, I know. But guess what? I found out she knew too. Because she felt, my mother told me one time she felt a spirit off them people that I was running with. She said, you need to leave them alone. Of course, me being hard-headed, I said, oh, Mom, you don't know them. But then I look back and I say to myself, look at the problems I got in by trying to be macho with them. I could have avoided a lot of headaches, cuts, scrapes, knots, if I listened to my mama. I got to go. Yes. Took what? Of his ornaments. I haven't read where he stripped him of his ornaments. I haven't read that. I don't know. Maybe that's why you was wearing them in the street. No, I can't. I haven't read where he kicked him out and took his ornaments from him. Because I still believe his gifts were still there. You ever notice musicians, most of them have a feminine way about them? If Pepper was here, he'd say, no, no. Oh. Hey, but if you notice, The majority of them do. Let me tell you something. You don't mess with the devil. I got to go. Yes. I've never read where any of them get out of that spot once they go so far. I've never heard for a lot of them. Most people that's full with pride, once they know the truth and they get full with pride. See, Satan knew the truth. He knew who God was. It's like I tell people in church. You know the truth. But if you allow yourself to get full of pride, and that's one of the things that God hates in the 6th chapter of Proverbs, verse 16, there's 6 things that God hates. And one of them is pride, a proud look, and a lying tongue. And once a person get in that stage and they become a blasphemer, that blaspheme that the works of God is the works of the devil, they tell you ain't no such thing as speaking in tongues, ain't no such thing as the Holy Ghost. That's a blasphemer. That's saying that the works of God is not true. Are you with me? Mm-hmm. When you get to that point, a blasphemer cannot be forgiven because a blasphemer lies. It can't be forgiven. Why? Because it's too much pride to let them ask for forgiveness. And those in the streets don't know the truth, don't know about God, God give them a break because Paul did that. Paul fought against God. But God gave him a break because he didn't know what he was doing. But see, these folk that sit in church and listen to the truth and continue to lie and still cause confusion, it's hard for them to get out of that trap because they know better. I'm scared of a person that talk too much. I'm afraid of a person that talks too much because they'll say anything. Mm-hmm. I'm afraid. And you ought to be afraid that people talk too much. Always in people's business. That's called a busybody. That's a sin. Did you not know that? That's always in somebody's business. That's a sin. That's a busybody. That's a person that's always in trouble with that. That's a busybody. Know everybody's business but their own. That's a sad person. All right.